the first name they came up was like, why don't we just call it Edelman and Gronk?
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
were like, hey guys, like we got to get people to tune in. We get it. Only New England will watch it if that's the name. Like we got to be a little bit more creative. And then Gronk probably was like, oh, I got it. You know, we'll go dudes on dudes, and like we'll just do what bros do. We'll talk bro code, and they won't understand it, right?
Welcome to episode 11 of the Quick Snap Podcast. Back here with my boy David Andrews after a New England Patriots victory over the Jets. What's up, DA? Victory Monday. Let's go.
Yeah, look, obviously, just in totality, a great team win for a lot of different reasons, right? Like, Drake going down early, Jacoby coming in, filling in, doing a great job, getting another win. Defense stepping up when they had to, special teams, so, obviously was it perfect? Hell no, it never is. But, I thought the team faced some adversity, obviously with the quarterback situation. I guess Duggar was going to go and all week and, something happened and kind of re-hurt his ankle or whatever it was. And, so a lot of guys in that safety position stepped up, so, and also, I think, the last drive, some, couple drops here and there. And then obviously, Booty made a couple big plays in there. So, and a fourth down situation. I had no idea when they were reviewing it was fourth down. I kind of was just like so wrapped up in the, like, oh shit, like, they're coming back, great 2 minute drive. And I was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Like, we'll just go again. And I had just slipped my mind that it was fourth down. So great game. Obviously, division rivalry. Love beating the Jets. So I thought the guys did a really great job, really responded after last week. And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I think we'll start off with the quarterback position because I thought Drake was playing really well. Obviously had the long touchdown run, had things going. And then, there he goes running, goes for the slide. I don't know how they missed that call. I was up there actually in one of the suites watching it kind of right online with it. And as soon as it happened, I knew. And I was actually kind of shocked because the way he got up, with the way we treat concussions this day and age, there's these spotters, all of these things. And I saw the ref go over and check on him, but usually they're supposed to be that independent spotter. And I thought just by the way he got up a little slow, he touched his helmet, touched his head. Usually that's kind of signifies they're going to take you out and evaluate you. But
well, that's what happened.
It must have been some,
the spotter.
But when he got back over to the sideline,
yeah, they called.
That's what happened to me against Green Bay a few
down.
years ago.
They didn't stop.
Yep.
It, but I guess after looking at it or whatever, they called down.
Yeah.
To the sideline and. Like he said, he was fine. And then, obviously when you get in those situations, like, it's tough. We've all had them and, you're trying to do the right thing for the team, yourself, all that. So, that's nothing to mess with. We all know that. So, obviously, and they're weird. You don't like concussions are weird, man. When I had my first one, documented one, like, it was like really weird, just the whole process of it. And, some days you felt good and some days you felt bad. And then, it was just a weird process. So, he'll be all right. And we'll just see where this thing goes. Obviously there's a lot of precautionary stuff he has to do, to try to get
protocol's
back
no joke. I mean, having just gone through it 2 years ago, and it's funny because like you said, each concussion is a little bit different. And I've had quite a few, but that last one when I had it against Green Bay, I was having symptoms I'd never had before. And about 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, I was still having the spins, all these things. And Jim was like, maybe we should check your vestibular, your inner ear function. Cause we have those tests we do. And Lenore.
I'll say Dr. Lenore.
Yeah. And she came in and went off my baseline. I was like, oh my God, you're way off. And she did this technique, to realign those crystals in your ear. So anybody who's out there who's ever either experienced vertigo or knows someone who has it, there's like these, they call them crystals, but there's these things in your inner ear that kind of balance your equilibrium. And I was having issues with that. And she did this technique and it got me back on balance. And I was like, oh my God, the room stopped spinning. And so whether it was actually a concussion or an inner ear function, but like you said, they're all a little bit different. You never know. Sometimes they hit you a little bit after the fact. So glad that they took care of that. And I think, for what Jacoby has been through, starting the year as the starter, had some rough times. They basically replaced him with Drake. And to come back out, I know, how proud he was, and his response and the team's response. He mentioned it in the media and he said, I'm glad I just didn't listen to you guys and I listened to myself because we've kind of said this all year around, like Jacoby's a good quarterback. It just wasn't getting a lot of help at the time. And I think, these past few weeks, the offense has kind of shifted and you saw Jacoby get a chance to really drop back, pass the ball and made some big throws. And obviously when the game's on the line, came up even big, that long pass to Booty. I mean, he's got a guy coming free right down, the right side, and he hung in there, threw a great ball. Booty ran a great route on Sauce Gardner, and that was probably one of the decisive plays in that drive. And so to see him come back out there and kind of, reestablish himself. And I know that, most likely when Drake's healthy, he'll come back. But I think, I felt really happy for him to have that experience.
No,
and to
100%.
see the post-game locker room. Obviously you were in there and Gerard give him a game ball. That's huge.
No, 100%. You're right. And, that's just who Jacoby is. Like, he's a true professional. He's ready to go. We've talked about it all year we've been doing this podcast. So, one thing you were talking about Booty, the touch, or I guess it wasn't the one that was on like the inch line, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was the right call by the ref. And I'm not, I don't know the inner workings of refs, but if I was a ref with a game on the line, like a 2-minute situation on a bang, bang goal line play, I call it a touchdown. Every play,
Right.
like, they're reviewable no matter what. Like, could you imagine if we couldn't clock it? We couldn't, like, the situation, it was good for the situation because we had plenty of time, all that. So, like, there was no panic. But, like, could you imagine if we had, like, because it's a good end zone play, right? Like the rub route, like that's a good play for that situation. But imagine if we had like 6 seconds left and, like, I don't know. I've always wondered that, like, now that they do that, like, I would just call.
Like, in their mind, are they thinking, oh, I'll call it this, knowing
And
it
I
will
know
be
they get
reviewed?
graded and judged and all that, but, like, it's a bang play. And like I said, I agree he made the right call after looking at it. But I've always just thought in that situation, like, screw it. If I was, the line judge, whoever, like, I call it a touchdown just because I'm like, all right, they're going to review it, so I'm off the hook. They can't kill me.
Yeah.
But
same thing with, like, when the quarterback's throwing gets hit, the ball gets loose. Like, why not err on the fact that it may be a fumble instead of blowing your whistle dead?
Like, when they blow it dead, it screws it all up. So,
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know. It was a great game, and then obviously going to Tennessee this weekend, it's always will be a big challenge. It's the NFL, but you try to start stacking wins, and we've talked about that, and just if you can stack them one after another, build a little bit of momentum. There's no telling where this thing can go. There's still going to be a lot of jockeying going on, and no one knows where, obviously, this thing will end up. But just try to keep stacking wins, keep building this momentum. And like I said, like, I think it was just a great team win overall, battling adversity, whatever you want to say, against a team who everyone. They'll probably still talk. Well, maybe not this morning, but everyone always talking about they're going to the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah. Well, I think obviously the big story, on the field because of the quarterback position and Jacoby coming in and winning. But also, I think so much last week we spoke on Gerard's comments after the Jaguars game and soft. And then he came back the next day and said, well, I was just saying they played soft. And I think you saw a lot of guys said, and you said it the same way. It's a challenge, and we don't disagree with Gerard. We have to play better. And I think it was, like you said, it wasn't perfect, but there was some toughness. And you saw, throughout the game on all four phases, Marcus Jones with a big punt return. There was a lot of things. And I think that is great to see in a coach's first year, where he kind of comes and calls out his team and they respond and come and get a huge victory, not only for the team, but for Gerard as well. I think because, the year started off victory, close game to Seattle, and then there were some struggles. People, in the media are quick to say, oh, I saw someone ridiculous report saying Gerard's not going to make it to the end of the year. I mean, how ridiculous of a report is that? The guy is literally a first-time head coach, and Mr. Kraft really believes in him. So I think it was great for him.
I think, too, just in general, those things, like, you give a guy a 1-year roster,
right?
Like a 1-year chance, like that, then you're just going to keep spiraling. And I remember when, like, Georgia fired Coach Rick, who I loved, and I didn't know if he would get Georgia over the hump of a national championship. But you see some of these organizations call it professional, collegiate, being competitive, winning 10 certain games, and not that should be okay. But unless you make the right, and you don't know if it's the right hire, but what you believe is the right hire and let them do their thing, then you just see these organizations of like 2-year head coach, 2-year head coach, and it's just shambles until you try to get the right guy. So, and Georgia did that with Kirby, and so I can't complain about that. But like, I've always thought that, like, I've just never understood, and you're not in the building, but like when coaches don't get, full time, and obviously, maybe there's someone in the building that you do know, like, or whatever. But I think it's important to give people the opportunity to build something the way they want it.
Yeah, 100%. I think the one thing, and I always bring up the example of the Bills coach, Sean McDermott. Last year, they were calling for him to get fired. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you've literally, been behind the Patriots for 20 years, and you've won the AFC East however many years in a row. The team's struggling a little bit, and you want to fire the coach. I think, to me, at least from a player perspective, I think the main goal is to build continuity and be in contention each and every year, because you and I both know when you get to the playoffs, you have a chance and it's one game, 2 games away. And I think sometimes I've realized just how much, I don't want to call it luck, because I think the quote, like, the more I practice, the luckier I get. But I went to 2 Super Bowls before I actually went to one where we won. And there were certain plays where I was like, man, if the ball bounced our way, we would have won that one. And so I don't want to call it luck,
but it is luck.
Right. Like for us, I think we're going to talk about, the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs later on. But you go back to that game, and there's a tipped interception that gets overturned by D Ford, I believe it was, being offsides.
Tom knew he was offsides, duh.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, things like that. I remember being on the sideline and my heart just sinking, and then you see the flag and you're like, oh, please let it be on them. But I think there's so much goes into it. And so if you can give a coach 3-4 years to at least get the players that he sees for his culture, for his program. And there may be, we look at Dan Campbell, what he's doing in Detroit. He didn't start off great over there, but he eventually got the players they want. They had a good draft, got some good free agents, and they're rolling. So I think, it's always like the sky's falling, right? But today the sky's not falling, and you can build off of how you responded to your head coach with a big win against a rival. Especially, like you said, the Jets, everyone, they trade for Devontae, they get Hassan Reddick back. All right, this is the week. They're playing the Patriots. They should definitely win this game. Well, they didn't. And they got to be sitting there reeling today thinking, man, this was our chance to get on track. And they didn't do it. So I think, hats off to Gerard, his staff, and all the players for bouncing back in a game that really no one expected them to win, and coming together as a unit, as a team. And like you said, next man up. Some guys that probably didn't expect to be contributing in that win did a great job doing it.
Yeah, well said.
All right, so like you mentioned, next week is the Titans on the road, another chance to build. Another team, first-year head coach. They're kind of dealing with, I would say, some similar struggles that the Patriots have. So I think like you said, got to use this momentum, go down to Nashville. The one thing I always remember, you go play a 1:00 game in Nashville, it kind of lulls you to sleep. So you're going to have to bring your own energy. They got the country music on.
Well, and
it's not the same.
It's at noon. You're starting at noon.
Right, exactly. And it's daylight savings time. So it's one of those, I don't want to call it a trap environment, but, you go to a lot of these stadiums, they got the music going. It gives you a little bit of juice. Nashville, I've always remembered having played there, those noon games. It's a little dead. It's the fans aren't in it as much as definitely the New England fans. The music.
I think I've only played there once, regular season 18, and we got our asses kicked. Remember? Yeah, we got got tore up. I think the bye was were we coming off a bye? Was the bye the next week? I think the bye because I think the bye was the next week, because I remember we were all like, "Oh man, we're gonna get destroyed." During bye week, and it wasn't that bad, thank God. But we were all a little like,
but we won the Super Bowl that year,
it
so
matter.
All right, let's move on, and we'll bring producer Danny on for a few of his segments here to contribute, because I know we have a special treat for everyone coming at the end of this episode, so we want to speed things up a little bit.
I'll see it in the title, but very, very exciting roundtable later today. Well, you mentioned it though. We're gonna talk about that KC AFC Championship game. I was gonna do the butt fumble, but I know you guys weren't on the squad then. But just hilarious because we beat the Jets and we have the Jets number. So, but we'll go to the AFC Championship game 2019. So Patriots win, obviously, 37-31 in OT in KC, hostile environment. Everyone was betting against you guys. You guys go to the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl against the Rams that year, but that was one of the coolest games as a fan that I've ever watched. Just the roller coaster of the back and forth. Brady and Edelman and Gronk were on that day. DA, you were on with the running game, and it was just a cool game to watch as a fan. But walk me through your perspective of that AFC Championship game in 2019.
And Hoy can attest to this. Like, it took us a long time that year to really find out who we were as a football team. And it was really the second game. It might have been like the last game of the season against the Jets. We rushed for like what, like 2-something, Hoy?
Yep.
And we were kind
and
of,
it was cold. It was cold.
and we were like, all right, this is who we are. Like, we have a good offensive line. We Sony, Rex Burkhead, James White, James Devlin, Gronk, Dwayne Allen. Like, we're a big physical football team. And like, let's start playing like that. Like, let's make that our identity going into the playoffs and moving forward. And and we got a blessing to really try that out. The first game of the playoffs, because we played the Chargers, and that was that year. Remember, they had like no linebackers.
Yes, remember we AP Adrian Phillips, who came here and played with us. He was like playing linebacker.
Yes,
that
they
game
had like
for them.
6
And we were like,
safeties
all right,
on
just
the
keep
field.
running it. Yes,
And we're in 22 personnel, and we're just like, all right, here we go. But that was kind of, I feel like, the Jets was kind of the coming out party of it. And then, we beat San Diego, or I guess they might have been in LA then, pretty good. And, it was like all this talk, right? Like Mahomes taking over, the Patriots are dead, Tom Brady, it's over for him. Like, and you feel that, you hear that, and you could see just Tom, like, he didn't ever say anything. But like, you could just tell, like, he had something to prove. And obviously we played them earlier in the year at home, and it was a great matchup. Same kind of game, back and forth. I think we kicked the, last second field goal to win with Steve. So we go out there. It was my first time out there. And it was so cold. I just remember how cold it was that game. You remember Dante? I think I told that story. Dante run into the heater back and forth. I talked to Ted Karras. Ted was like, dude, I thought he was going to die.
that was one of the few games that I ever wore the full wetsuit.
Yes,
Tom, he taught me
scuba
that
suit,
trick
the
early on
scuba
in my
suit.
career. Yeah, but Tom would only wear the top, and
You
I
had
found
legs?
this really good. Yeah, I had legs, but I had going to the restroom.
I bet
was
your
an issue,
your
but-
underparts smelled so bad after that game.
But this is the thing. Like I grew up in Cleveland. I'm pretty tough, but that was, and I knew I was going to be basically standing there unless something happened to Tom. And that thing was so warm that after warm-ups, you get a good lather going. Like I was dripping in sweat, but I was getting icicles around the wrists because the water, the sweat was coming out, and it was freezing around my wrists. So I had to go in and unzip and towel my entire upper
Yeah.
body off because I didn't want to freeze out there. But that was one of those games where I was like, you know what? This is one of those games that qualifies for the wetsuit.
Yeah, and we had a great game plan. And they obviously had a lot of really good players. And, I think the first drive we came out, doing what we wanted to do, running the ball, finished the drive with a touchdown. And it kind of felt like a little bit in the first half, like we were running away with it a little bit. And, we threw that, Tom threw a pick on a goal line pass, and we were pretty, that was one where we were pretty frustrated as an offensive line because we got down in the goal line. We already had one successful goal line play. Like, we talked about what we wanted to be, who we wanted to be, and now we're throwing on the 1-2 yard line. Like, let us do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was just such a back and forth game, man. And there was times where, that was truly, like, I didn't really watch Mahomes in the first game we played him, but watching him that game, especially in the second half, I was just like, this dude is unbelievable. Like, every time you thought we had him, we never did. And that was, I would say that was when one of that offense was some of that is most explosive with Tyree, Kelsey, all those
Sammy Watkins,
all those skill players. So, it just was such a great back and forth game. And, we had two, I would call it uh-ohs, the Julian punt.
Yep.
Where, Julian was adamant on he didn't touch it, but
He was.
I've also seen him lie and say, like get in a fight in practice and be like, I didn't throw a punch. And he's just ragdolling some guy, I didn't throw a punch.
Yeah, Julian, for those moments, the catch in the Super Bowl when he knew he caught it,
Yes.
he was adamant. And that same, I remember him coming over and like, it didn't touch me. It didn't touch me.
and
And,
he was so
for
adamant.
us as players, you're watching and you're like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
man.
was like,
You gotta get
this
the
is
angles.
it. Like I thought it kind of touched him. Like I just didn't know. And I guess that's one of those luck. You talk about the luck and, and then the offsides play. Like that happened, and I didn't know there was a flag, and you know, and I was just like, son of a gun, you know, like we had him, whatever, and you know, and it's funny because in the moment you kind of forget the situations that you're in, you know, and I'm watching like dude, we converted so many 3rd and like 10s on those drives.
Yep.
To win the
which is so hard to do.
which is so
the
hard to do
percentages would
on
tell
the
you.
road in the weather.
Yep.
Like that's not how you want to play the game, and we did play the game that way. And you know, I just remember when we got down on the goal line when we called the slant 35 lead on the goal line, and you know, it was just such a great feeling. And that was a game I think Sony got banged up a little bit. Rex had to come in and. You know, God, our backs ran our tails off that game, and just everyone stepped up and made big plays. And it was such a, I don't know, just like a FU moment to Kansas City and the fans, and like we're not dead, like we're not dead. And you know, I think it was just like, man, like you guys thought and they were right. They were on the cusp of being what they thought they were. They just weren't that day in that year yet, and they got a great fan base, and I'd heard about it. You know, I remember watching the 2014 game out there where, Tom got not benched, but like, taken out and they get killed. And I was like, dude, these Kansas City fans are something. And they are, man. They are great fans.
They are.
I had 2 buddies drive up for the game and they loved it. They said it was one of the best environments they've ever been in. Like the fans were awesome, like, good, like, talking crap, but like, fun. Like,
not derogatory
like fun.
or
like
combative.
they had a great time, with them bantering, going back and forth, and which is awesome to hear, right? You hate when I see these fights in the stands and stuff. I think it's so stupid.
Yeah, but one of my favorite moments of that is after we scored a touchdown, you just kind of waddling through the end zone, waving goodbye.
Well, that was the end of the game because they weren't very nice to us sitting, and they're pretty close to us on the bench, and they weren't very nice to me.
Yes, they are.
So I just wanted to let them know that they could go home, and we were going to go home too, but with a win.
I think that's what made it so special was, you always talk about like, okay, we're going into a hostile environment. We're all we got. It's all, but usually there's going to be, some like your own fans make like this was when you talk about it was just the 53 guys, the coaching staff, like that's all we had. And it was like you say, you're all huddled in there because it's freezing. And it was, to me, that was like the ultimate, like, we're all we got and we're going to get it done no matter what type moment. And to me, I think that goes down as probably my favorite game of my career. And I know you were there for the Super Bowl coming back from 28-3, but it was kind of, to me, my first Super Bowl win that was the following week. And it was like, all right, we kicked the field goal and there was a celebration, but the celebration out in Kansas City
awesome,
in the cold,
man. It was awesome.
incredible. That to me was like the Super Bowl celebration.
Yeah. I think, like I said, it was one of my favorite games. Super Bowls are great. And they are, but like they're a culmination of the year. Like if someone said like, hey David, like you could fast forward to whatever the Super Bowl will be this year and win the Super Bowl, you want to do it? I'd probably be like, no, like it wouldn't be. Like it makes all those moments, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the work, whatever, all that stuff makes it special. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there as a top. I mean, I think it's one of my favorite games I've ever played in. And it was a great environment, but I think it's hard for fans to travel. And like you were saying, like our fans do travel really well, but like you can't.
But no one's going to be selling those tickets for that game.
Not even that. Like
City.
You can't. Like it's hard to plan it a week before. People got like a lot going on. People usually get the schedule in May, and they look and like there'll probably be a lot of fans in Nashville this weekend, the city, everything like that. Like. They'll be like, oh, let's go to Miami or let's go to this cool stadium, whatever. They travel like that. But I think it's harder in the playoffs, one, because, like you said, people aren't going to be giving away their tickets. And two, they happen so quick that it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, not to get off the topic, but playing in Las Vegas last year, that's like everybody's travel destination. I mean, so when Vegas has no home games anymore, because when we played you guys last year, it was all Patriots fans. The one that was a total shock to me was the Chiefs. I mean, the stadium was completely red when we played the Chiefs. So it's like, I get it. You moved to Vegas. It's a cool thing, but I don't know if they took into account like, hey, when the schedule comes out.
LA kind of has that too, right? Like I see the Rams going on silent cadence and I'm like,
Yep.
Goodness.
Oh, we had to go silent at home for
That's
sure.
wild.
Yeah. So, but no, definitely one of our favorite games, and I know we're going to talk to Devin here later. One of the coolest moments was him and Jason.
Yes, unreal.
You know,
I
all
can't
these years,
imagine.
and that it gives me chills just thinking about it. Like your twin comes his first year, he had just come from the Browns, they didn't win a game, and it's like we're going to the Super Bowl. Like how great.
And he had to watch
not only
Devin
for
go
them.
to all those Super Bowls.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
and
Jason's a
to
great
go-
dude.
Fast forward that week, J Mac makes a play that kind of saves the game for us because Brandon Cooks was wide open, and J Mac came all the way back from the other side of the half of the field and knocks the ball out in the end zone. So that was a cool moment. But yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
Special day for Patriots football. All right, well that's a wrap. We'll do some quick snaps here. We're gonna keep it like Halloween themed.
All right.
So I was gonna make you guys dress up in your Halloween costumes and get on the pod today, but
I'm gonna be you and
know,
just be late.
Who was late today, dude?
Yeah, you had all this crap you got for me. I couldn't figure it out.
Podcasting the hard life, man. You gotta get all the ring cam, the light cam, all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, Halloween costume. What are we being this year?
Ford wants to be a monster truck, so he was a monster truck last year. Mackenzie bought him like 3 more costumes, and he's like, "Nah, I'm a monster truck." So he'll go as a monster truck, and I'll go as David.
Lame.
What do you want me to do,
that is
Brian? I got a
lame.
hurt shoulder. What do you want me to dress up as?
Be like a gas pump or something.
Like a bulldog for Georgia.
Yeah.
Like be something.
No, do like something to
I
go
don't
with
know,
the
man. I'm just not like. He
All right,
doesn't ask
fine.
me to dress up. I'm a grown man. Like I don't need to play
Yep.
dress up. Like if my son came to me
Okay.
and said, "Daddy, I want you to be this, and I want to be this,"
Yeah,
I
you
would do it.
I know
but
you
like I'm a grown man. I don't need dress up. I'm just gonna eat all his
Okay,
candy.
then what was your favorite costume as a kid growing up? Like what was your go-to?
I don't know, man. I still like didn't like love it that much. Like
Really?
I just like getting the candy and running around, but like I don't
Yeah.
know, like trying to think. I mean, usually I'd be like Chipper Jones or something kind of lame.
I like that. I was gonna say when I was young, I would always, remember like the little like kits you could get for your local team. So I'd always be like the
Yeah.
Browns player, whatever. They had like it would come with the soft
Yeah,
helmet,
yeah.
the jersey, and then as I got older, my birthday was in October, so for me it was always kind of like Halloween themed parties, and I was always like a Dracula or a vampire. And then a few years ago, we had a team Halloween party when I think I was in Indianapolis, and I'm a big Marvel fan, and I went all out. And I got like a movie quality Deadpool costume. I'll send the picture, Danny, so we could upload it. So I kind of,
I'm also a
if
scaredy
I'm ever
cat,
gonna,
so like Halloween and me don't.
oh really?
Yeah,
You're a little
I'm-
teddy bear, aren't you?
I don't like all that. I don't like
Yeah,
scary.
we used to go to haunted houses for my birthday parties.
I
and-
took a like a date, like one of the first times I ever went on a date with a girl. I took her to a haunted
Yeah.
house. Me,
and you got scared.
yeah, I bailed in like the first room. I was just sitting outside, and she went through with my buddy and the
Without
girl he
you.
took, and we never talked
that.
again.
Yeah, I bet. No, that's. But yeah, I mean, as a kid, I don't know. I always loved like the vampire or Dracula, and then as an adult, when you go to, you got to look good. And so one year I did a not a movie quality, but a decent Captain America, and then I loved the Deadpool, and I found this guy on Instagram, and it's literally like,
Exactly.
I mean, it's really good. So I'll get that picture for you, Dan. You could upload it.
Need it. Is Garrett dressing up this year?
I think he's kind of hitting
He's
that
probably
age
getting
where
close,
it's like,
where it's like no.
Yeah.
Ugh.
yeah, like, oh, I want to pass out the candy as opposed
Yeah.
to
I like
trick or
Garrett.
treating. But we'll see.
Like that age.
Speaking of candy,
Yep.
favorite Halloween candy. I mean,
Okay.
every candy's Halloween candy, so we'll just go favorite candy.
But like the ones they're passing out. Yeah.
DA.
Oh man, oh, it's so good, man. There's so
I know.
Reese's.
Reese's is mine.
I was gonna go Reese's, but since you took that, I'll go to my second favorite, Butterfinger.
I love Butterfinger.
Really?
I love
Yeah.
Butterfinger.
Yep.
Hate the repercussions of eating them.
You know what I love? Going to the movie theater and you get like the mini
yes.
Butterfinger and mix it with the popcorn.
Oh my gosh, I love
That's good.
Butterfingers,
But Reese's as a kid, that was like the one you were hoping you had the most of. Because I don't know about you, David, but I get home, dump everything on the floor, and I used to sort it by candy.
no, I didn't do
So like
that.
I'd have all the Kit Kats over here, I'd have all the Reese's over here.
You know what probably is like my favorite candy bar of all time, but I don't eat them a lot? Paydays. I love a payday.
You're like my dad loves
I
paydays.
love
He
paydays.
used to take them all from my Halloween bag. I didn't like
I
them.
love them. The house had paydays. They were But like overall,
That's
you
the
got to
one.
put like a Reese's.
Or if you always knew the house that gave out like the regular size instead of the minis.
Yeah, I did
Is that
see
you guys?
this.
I would
did
hope
see
that's you
this.
guys.
I did see this. There was this guy, you know, the house that do like take one, like if they're out trick or treating with their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Take one,
Yep.
and this guy like dressed up and like sat in the chair and looked like he was just like a
Oh,
skeleton.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if a kid took more than one, he like scared them. I love that because I hate that.
That's
I
good.
hate that. And
Yeah.
you know, kids are we all were a-holes at times.
Yep.
But
Well, it's hard too if you have young kids and you're going to take them trick or treating. No one's going
Yeah.
to stay behind, so that's what you do. Hey, take one. So
and then as
you
the
know,
kid gets to the house and there's no candy, you're like, oh man.
yeah, then you look like an idiot.
Well, DA, given you're a scaredy cat, I don't know if you have one of these, but we're going favorite Halloween movie of all time.
I mean, even though I'm a scaredy cat, I do like what's his name? The dude with the knife. Halloween, the movie Halloween, right?
Yeah,
Michael
That's
Myers.
Yeah,
a good
Michael
one.
Myers.
Yeah.
I like it. It was one of like the real first scary movies I watched, and it does still scare me. But I do like the premise of it that he just gets shot like 20 times and doesn't die.
I like that.
I liked Freddy Krueger. I also, my brothers who listen to this will like this. Night of the Living Dead, like the original. We used to sneak. We'd stay out at my grandparents' house, and my older cousin would play it, and we'd sneak down and kind of watch from behind the couch. But now that I'm a dad, they do a good job with Freeform. Some of these things, 31 Nights of Halloween. The kids love the Hocus Pocus movies, which I now living in New England, I
Did
get
you?
it,
Did
know
you?
what I mean?
Have you ever
Salem.
been to the
That's
Hocus
my
Pocus
pick.
house?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we went a few years ago, and actually costumes last year in Vegas. Now Vegas, the neighborhood we lived in there, they did it right. They blocked off one whole street, and it was like they had food trucks and decorations, and some people turned their garage into a haunted house. And so we went as a family, and my wife was Sarah Sanderson, and I was Billy,
Nice.
the one
That's
that
good.
gets his mouth sewn shut.
That's good. I like the
Yep.
Hocus Pocus movies a lot.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap on Quick Snaps. We're going to switch it up this week. We're going to dive into Around the League Quick Snaps, and then we're going to get to our round table because we're excited about that.
Okay.
All right, so Week 8 in the NFL was a fun one. Did you guys see the Commanders-Bears finale? I
Dude.
know you were at Gillette. You probably got home.
No,
but
I got
holy
home.
crap.
And I didn't. You saw it? Did you watch it, Brian?
I was watching it live. Yeah.
Did you see what goal line play they ran when they first got down there?
They try to hand it off
Dude,
to the
To the
lineman.
center, the backup
I'm
center.
Is it the center?
I don't
backup
know. It
center.
doesn't matter. I'm telling you, like, unless like if you're up, and it's like first down, and you're up, and you're like, let's do it for the boys, like get the boys going. But like in a crucial situation, that's not. And I'm an offensive lineman and love fat guy TDs, but just not the time. Maybe right
But
there.
do you think they were trying to be like an homage to like the fridge?
I
You
don't care.
Do you think
that's
that
fine
because of the Bears?
That's fine. Do that when
We
you're
gotta
up
ask
like 2 touchdowns.
Barstool Big Cat. See how he's probably
do
reeling
that.
right now.
I listened to part of my take this morning, and he is in a
Well,
deep
did
one
you
right
see?
now.
Did you see that? I saw it after the game. The clip of the DB like talking to the crowd while the play's
Yes.
going on.
Yes.
And then he was the guy that tipped
He
it.
was the one who tipped
oh
it back.
my gosh, that's such.
But
a
it was
bad
funny. I was
look.
watching, and we can maybe ask Devin about this because he was talking about it on Sunday Night Football, the pregame show, and he was talking about being in that position. There should only be one guy who's going up to, like, you have the tipper
Yeah, it's all
basically,
the
or the
box
bat
out.
down guy, and then everybody else should be waiting to then knock down. Like, they sent all of their guys to tip the ball.
Yeah,
I'm in a group chat with my buddies, and we know nothing about football. We watch a lot.
I
of
was
football,
hopefully.
but
I'm
we all-
glad you clarified that because I was going to kill
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
group chat.
But we watch a lot of football. But we said if this was the Patriots, that 29, the guy waving in the crowd while the snap was like snapped and he was still waving, and the players running outfield, Bill would cut that player. Is that a fair statement?
I don't know.
I think
I've
that-
never been in that type of situation.
I don't know what his status is. I don't know. I don't really know. Like, is he like a? I mean, I think it's so ridiculous that the play. Like, okay, before the play, one thing. While the play's going on, you're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you're the one who tips the ball back for the losing touchdown. Is just.
The
I mean, we
trifecta.
talk about karma. Oh my God.
Crazy. Well, I mean, besides the last play of the game, though, and the handoff to the lineman, Jaden Daniels looked really good. They didn't score a lot of touchdowns, but he threw for 300 yards. He looked really good, and Caleb Williams had 130 yards for the game and looked terrible for 3 quarters. Had a decent fourth quarter, but
Yeah.
just interesting because that was the first overall pick versus the second overall pick.
I was gonna say the thing about Daniels was, no one really knew if he was going to play because he injured his ribs. So now you go out there for 3 hours, you play in the game, you're battered, and it comes down to this game. And the thing that I couldn't believe was how calm he was. Like, he did a tremendous job. That's the one thing about Hail Marys as a quarterback, especially from where they were throwing it for. You got to let your guys get down there. And so that gets tough. Like, David, you've had to block
when he
for those.
started like
Here's a
scrambling. I was like, this isn't, and they didn't look like they had any contain call it on him.
Right.
I was like, this isn't good for this situation.
Here's a stat. That was the longest a quarterback's ever scrambled around, 13 seconds, and then threw a touchdown on the same play.
What about that? What about the Kyler Murray one a few years ago? Or maybe that was a two-point conversion.
That was a long time, but I think this was the winner at 13 seconds.
Right, but this is the reason why that's so important is because, especially that length, you got to let your guys get down there and get established. Because if you ever have to throw a Hail Mary while your guys are still running to the end zone, it's really hard. And I actually hit one when I played in Houston, and they only like 2-man rush, so I kind of just waited back there. I didn't run around like Jaden. I wasn't athletic like that, but if you let your guys get in the end zone, you really have the best opportunity you're going to have, because those guys can at least get in there and have the ability to jump. So I thought him doing that, and just with like the calmness that he did, and then they immediately go to him in the post game interview, and he was just, it was like he was, I mean, it was like nothing. It was like he did it in practice, and I think that's the one thing from watching him all year is just how cool, calm, and collected he is, and to battle through with ribs. I mean, anybody at any position, but quarterback, to deal with ribs, he just opening up to throw the football, I'm sure that was bothering him. So pretty gritty performance by him, and I think you can go ahead and just give him Rookie of the Year right now.
Yeah, he's got the it factor. All right, another game here, fun game. Jameis Winston comes in for relief, Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Again, I know we talked about it before, Hoyer. You don't really know Jameis. DA,
I don't know.
You probably don't know Jameis. Yeah, but like in media, you can just see the clips.
Dude,
He's one of a kind human being.
I saw his pregame speech, and it was like a thing, and it was like me when I have to get a 97 on a final to pass the class, and I haven't done any of the work. And he was just like talking, and then I saw his post game.
Yeah, he literally said,
"White boy in
like,
Detroit, Eminem." Like, I was like,
he was
this dude.
He was like, play for the name on your back, play for the name on your helmet. Oh wait, we don't have a decal. Just play for the Browns. I mean, you can't watch Jameis and not just sit there and be cheerful and laugh. I mean, in a way,
he puts a smile on my face every time he talks.
We've talked about Kendrick Bourne. I think there's like a similar, like when I talk to KB, I'm immediately I feel my face grinning, and I think anytime I watch Jameis speak, I find it's the same way. So for him, and the play before he threw the game-winning touchdown, he threw it right to Kyle Hamilton of the Ravens. Could have sealed the game with an interception. And they asked Jameis, he's like, man, I was just praying to God he was going to drop it. And I knew I was going to have that opportunity. And he, I mean, that touchdown was a bomb. I mean, you're not expecting that, at least in that situation. You think they're going to at least take away the other stuff, but to give that away. I mean, what a great read by him, and a feel-good story, especially, I know we had Joe Thomas on last week, but in Cleveland, Jim Donovan, who was a longtime play-by-play announcer of the radio there, had just passed away. And so kind of one of those moments, like, they went out, and I don't know if they had the wherewithal, but, a nice presentation for him, and to win that game, especially with the struggles that they've had, was pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're having a bad day ever, just go to YouTube and just search Jameis Winston mic'd up, and you will smile. It is glorious.
Free therapy.
Yeah, it's great. Couple other games, we don't have to dive deep on these, but I mean, the Chiefs, only undefeated team. They played the Raiders on the road. Talk about a home game for the Chiefs in Vegas. I mean, that place was red. So Chiefs remain undefeated. Chad Ryland hits the game winner for the Cardinals.
I was going to say Tua back. You know what I mean? We talked about Tua's concussions earlier in the year, for him to come back, and it was like they were a different team. I know they didn't win the game, but offensively, it was like, I mean, I saw someone, I don't know if it was Schrager or one of the media guys, was like, they should just give Tua MVP, because you just see how different the team is when he's playing quarterback as opposed to all these other guys. But I mean, who would have thought, like, the Cardinals, a fellow high school classmate of mine, John Gannon, has really got them going. Kyler Murray looks good. And
went to high school?
He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Oh, wow.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he kind of took me under his wing. And
then he went to John Carroll?
No, he went to Louisville. So crazy story. Kind of the reason that I went to Michigan State, John Gannon, and actually another coach in the NFL, Dave Ragone, who played quarterback, they went from my high school to Louisville, played for John L. Smith. So he started to recruit my high school pretty heavily. He went to Michigan State. He's the one who gave me my first scholarship offer. But Gannon, interesting story. He was one of these, really skilled. He was actually a white DB and goes to Louisville and is going down to cover a kickoff as a true freshman, has a Bo Jackson hip injury. So basically career over, but immediately starts coaching. And so now here he is. He's only 3 years older than me, head coach in the NFL, was a great defensive coordinator for the Eagles a few years ago. So I'm happy for him.
That's cool.
Yep. You guys watch Sunday Night Football at all? Cowboys, Niners?
Watched it till halftime, and then I checked out.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, Niners.
Did you
win.
see Trevon
Big win.
Diggs after the game?
Yeah, chirping the
These
reporters.
nuts.
Is that what he said?
What?
The reporter was like, he was saying, he's like, man, that's all you want to talk about? And when the reporter goes, yeah, we could talk about it if you want. And Trayvon goes, yeah, we could talk about D's nuts.
Love that. I kind of love it.
Wow.
I love it.
All right, then.
That's something ever I would do, but it's always funny to see someone else do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well, that was
I
an
don't-
interesting
yeah,
week
okay.
8.
All right.
No, go ahead.
I
DA.
don't know.
Go
man.
ahead.
I don't know.
Well, I think whatever you want to say, but I think we need to intro what we're about to do because
Yeah.
Danny, you sent us a link from our guys, Rob, Gronkowski, and Julian's new Dudes on Dudes podcast, and they had a little segment kind of critiquing all of their former teammates in the media. And they took a few shots at us. They said we were doing it because I basically touched you a lot over the years, which
That's
is
a
true.
fact. That's
I've
a
had
fact.
a lot of men.
I mean, Julian kind of hit on it. He's like, yeah, you go to those walkthroughs, the center doesn't have his jock
love
on. You're
doing that.
you're feeling things that you don't want to feel. But I figured, they took some shots.
Can I
at-
just say something
at
real quick?
Devin. Yeah, go ahead.
Who invented that's how we're starting to play in football?
It's seriously.
That's going to be Danny. That's going to be your research project this week.
Yeah, you need to
I'll
figure
check
it out.
Because that's
I'll
such
check
it's
it
such
out.
a hilarious way. Like stick
I know.
your hands underneath this guy's bottom, and he's
Yeah.
gonna throw it between his legs, and you're gonna take it. Like that's
You know who would give us a 45 dissertation on it?
Yeah.
Ernie.
but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm still playing. I'm not a medium member yet. I'm a
Yeah,
Pasueto.
that's true. Of all the people, you are. You're half in, half
Yeah,
out.
you guys
but
are all has-beens.
well, I think I thought it was cool because as soon as I watched it, I immediately texted James White, Devin McCourty, and Rob Ninkovich and said, hey, they're going to critique us. Why don't you guys come on our show and we'll critique them a little bit and have a little fun with it. So really excited to have these guys on.
And we got a heavy hitter, Devin, on Sunday Night Football. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
that's no small gig.
No, that's a huge gig. That's a huge gig. So we're going to bring those guys on right now and have a little fun with that. And really thankful that they have to take their time out because, like we said, they're busy doing things
Hopefully,
too. So.
Ninko gets pretty fired up.
Oh, Ninko, he already talked to me. He's like, they're reading off a teleprompter. I mean, how lame is that? Like, you can
Ninko
literally
can
see
get
them.
so salty. And he used to get so
Oh, yeah.
mad at me when we first, because I was like my rookie year, even though I was like starting, I was still playing scout team because they wanted me to get all the reps, And
Yeah.
I just practice hard. Like I was like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like take it easy and like, so I went out there and he used to get so mad at me because I just try to kill him. And I do get it now being older, but I was like, Rob, I'm just trying to figure out my way here and like play hard and practice and do the right things. And so he always loves to be like, see now, what do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
And
I love Ninko.
Nico's
It was funny
so
because I think they
salty,
kind
love
of,
him.
well, they kind of went toughest on him. I mean, Gronk, who literally, what was it, like a month ago, they posted a picture of them in their freaking cold tub
Oh,
together.
they love each other.
They love each other, and Rob was just ripping them. So Rob Gronk was ripping them. So I can't wait for Ninko's rebuttal here in a few seconds.
It'll be a good one. Let's get into it.
All right, we teased this a little bit earlier in the episode, but we are so happy to welcome Devin McCourty, James White, Sweet Feet, and Rob Ninkovich because we got some shots taken at us on the Dudes on Dudes podcast, which the name of that is a little, I mean, that's totally right up their alley, those guys. But I think we all wanted to have a chance to respond because if they're going to take some, bust our balls, I think it's only right that we bring you guys on here and get a little reaction and a rebuttal. And I think most importantly, we should start with the guy the clips are loaded, Rob Ninkovich. So let's start with you because I know you were texting me immediately
reckless, Rob.
and we'll let you kind of, come on. Give us something.
No, I'm just honest.
You
and
are
I
honest.
Just speak what I feel. I'm a very honest person, and I feel that when you have specific topics and you want to indulge in those, you have to just be honest. And I think listening to Julian and Gronk in their scripted show, it's supposed to be live, but every single thing that they do is read off a teleprompter, which is,
That's honestly kind of
it's
impressive,
okay.
though, that they're able to read it.
Ron Burgundy?
Well,
They don't,
especially for them two.
Yeah.
dude. Imagine a screen with highlighted words. You are here with Rob Ninkovich and Gronkowski. What do you think of this X Y Z? Whatever. But anyway, I think that Julian has done a great job for a guy that struggled to speak in public. I think he does a great job. He's got a really good acting coach, which is, like, I wish I could do it right now, but everything that I see Julian do, he has his legs crossed right into the camera. Like
jorts and a tank top
he's
too.
sitting there like this, like with his hands crossed,
Gotta look the part.
like looking the part, right?
He does.
So bravo to his team. They do a great job. And we all know this. To win, you have to have a great team.
That's true.
You got to have a great team. So he's got a great team. And Gronk is Gronk is comedy. Gronk is hilarious anytime he says something. I think one of the best and the most entertaining things that I've seen him do on television is when he explained that they almost traded him
Yeah.
during the season, and he said, "Well, I'll just retire." And they said they could, and I said, "You can't trade me. I'll just retire." And then they couldn't trade me. He gets like starts laughing like a hyena.
Yeah, I was going to say he kind of went at you the hardest, and just several weeks ago, you guys were sharing the cold tub together. I mean, he was.
I know. Well, they go hard at Ninko because I go back pretty
That's
hard.
right.
At
That's
him,
right. Yeah.
So
Gets the clicks.
I just, the comment that I made on that was I would love to select a book. It could be like Green Eggs and Ham or some like
Any
book.
kid's
I
book.
don't know.
Any kid's book. And I just want to have them read it in like live, not taped, no cuts, no edits, just read. And it'd be fun for everyone to listen. It'd be amazing. And then they talked about me smacking Mac Jones. Listen, I'm a defensive end. I would love to smack.
Yeah, you
I'd
tried to
love
concuss
smack
me
a
back in the
warrior.
day.
You were kind of aggressive towards Mac Jones.
You were
It was
aggressive towards Mac
What are we
Jones.
doing here? But I mean, I get it.
I just do my best and I work really hard and I, do the best that I can, and we just got to do better. And listen, at the end of the day, I was sick of listening to it, and you just want somebody. And we played with Tom Brady, a guy who would like walk up to you with his eyes crossed and say, "What the," like. Tom's a little tapped. Tom can get after you. I mean, he'd walk up to anybody and tell them, "Let's go." Like, what are we doing? I remember one time it was a big moment in a game, and he walked up to the kickoff team and he started like yelling at us. And I so badly wanted to say, "Tom, why don't you run down on R3?"
And as soon as he walked away, everybody was like, "The fuck is he walking down here for?" Go back over there.
Yeah, get down there and stop him. It's like,
Give you opportunity to go.
Yeah.
You want to hit the wedge, Tom? Go down there and yard sale yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Damn,
I think
poor Tom catching a stray from us. Damn.
that's right. We strays all around.
Yeah, but it's out of love. We do that out of love.
Well, look, I mean, I always talk about the Patriots, and we'll get to James next because I saw you yesterday. But it was the most brotherly, familial. I mean, we had bonds, and maybe because we went through tough times and Bill was hard on us, but it was, I mean, those were some of my favorite years. We're playing there and being with you guys and having a meal, and these relationships continue. And so yesterday I popped in, and Sweet Feet was calling the game, the Patriots game for, is it USA Sports?
Yes, Sports USA.
Sports
yeah.
USA, and I popped in and got to see him, and so actually they were pretty complimentary of you, Sweet Feet, but they were kind of saying like what got me was like, man, when James spoke, you listened because it wasn't very often that he was going to, and now here you are, you're calling the radio,
About James
the
White,
game.
though, like
you can't say anything bad about Sweet Feet. So they went easy on you, but I think we bring you on here because it is great to see you. I know you're doing Sirius XM, a lot of other things, and it was great to see you yesterday.
No, it's good to see you as well, man. Yeah, they went a little light on me. What they said was it was true. I didn't talk too much in the facility. I mean, probably only made a couple statements in my 8 years there, but those are my guys. They're going to get a lot of views from their podcast based on who they are. I don't think they took too much time thinking about what they were doing with the mission statement of it. I don't know what their goal is with it, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining having Gronk and Jules on there. Those are my guys. I won't go too hard on them. They went pretty
Yeah,
light
they know.
on me.
We know you won't go hard on them. We already know.
But I don't know the goal of their podcast, so I don't understand it, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
I think they just wanted to get paid to hang out together. I mean, they're in the hot tub together. They're like, hey, maybe we just do a podcast and someone will pay us for it.
What do you think? Quick question. Do you think some of the other like titles that they went through were maybe two dudes, one 12-inch mic or something? Like what were some of the like different?
You're giving them way too much credit to be clever.
That's
like
right.
the first name they came up was like, why don't we just call it Edelman and Gronk?
Yeah,
And they were like, hey guys, like we got to get people to tune in. We get it. Only New England will watch it if that's the name. Like we got to be a little bit more creative. And then Gronk probably was like, oh, I got it. We'll go dudes on dudes and like we'll just do what bros do. We'll talk bro code and they won't understand it, right? And then Jules like, how about Jules goes on Fox, though, no shirt on with a vest and his arms out. He comes at me for wearing rings, but I'm like, bro, you're on national TV. Like, yo, kill your thirst traps. You thirst trap from your whole 20s to like your mid-30s. Let's take the next step to evolution, Jules. Like, we don't have to thirst trap any opportunity we get. Like, what are we doing here? That's his famous thing. And then shout out his podcast. He goes and gets every administrative from the New England Patriots era. And like, hey, come on my podcast. Yep, I know the New England area knows you, but I'm going to make sure you're known everywhere else to talk about Brady, talk about how I came in as a quarterback and you guys changed everything, talk about how tough I was as a player, talk about all the great things I've done. Let me bring Bears in. Let me go get Ernie for 3 episodes. We'll go get Billy O in. Like,
Hey, the Billy O one was
it,
great,
guys.
though. I try to
They're all
dabble,
great because
but yeah.
we were there, so we enjoy it. But everybody else is tuning in like, who the hell? Like, who is Ernie? And it's elite stories because we were there. But credit to him. I mean, live podcast. I can't. Hey, Ninko, you go to him, right? You have the live podcast. James. We're black, so we don't get the invites. To all the live, we don't get those invites.
Hey, man, we invite everybody here on our podcast. Well, David and I were saying like, first of all, the shot he takes at me, he's like, man, Hoy really loved Tom. No one loved Tom more than Julian. This guy went and lived in a place in LA and followed him around so that he would be able to be there for the backup off-season throwing session. So he can take the shots at me all I want. Trust me, I love Tom because I would have never played 15 years had I not learned those lessons from him. But to take that shot is a little rich. And then Gronk tries to say it's because David and I touch each other a lot over the years. He's like, I was kind of surprised on that one. They touch each other. And then Julian's talking about, taking snaps at a walkthrough when the guy's not wearing a jock. So, I mean, they were kind of all over the place. You could see when they get off script, it gets a little
It's
wacky.
their brains kind of just.
They're like, we're not meant to do all of this. Like, give us what we're supposed to read. Tell us what we're supposed to say. Like, that's how they do it. I'm sure in their shows are like, hey, this segment, remember we talked on the phone. You said this. This is what you're going to say, okay? Ready, go. I go, we get it. We're on TV. We've all done it.
Well, speaking of you saying we're on TV, I kind of wanted to give everybody a chance to Devin, we watch, I come home every night. I'm sitting there watching. It's great to see you on Sunday Night Football. But just kind of let everyone know, I know you're also calling some games on the radio, some things you've done. But you're kind of the highest profile guy that's out there every week, Sunday night, to see your face out there. And I know J-Mac's doing a great job calling games and on ESPN. So, kind of get to see your face twice. I know it's not always you, but
man, it's been fun. And I think even though Ninko was joking, I think it's so true though. It's all about like the team you get to be a part of whenever you do any media stuff. And, Sunday night, the crew that we got on there, the laughs and jokes that we have starting at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon that carry all the way throughout the night. Like a lot of times people see us on air starting at 7. It's just a continuation of that, like the things we see in the games. And that's what.
So you guys all are like watching the games together then?
All the games. Yep. So Like me and Sims argue every week because of where he had Drake May ranked on quarterbacks coming out compared to like other guys. And like every time Drake May does something, I'm like, I'm just saying, you told me the guy couldn't do this. Looks like he's doing it at a high level. So the back and forth in there is just so fun. And I think the thing that I had to learn, which is different than some of the other shows, is like we sit and we watch the games, and then we're kind of the first show that goes on TV and reacts before Monday morning and everybody goes through. So you got to kind of like pay attention, and you got to rely on everybody in there. There's like 25 people in there. You can't see every play in every game. So you got to really rely on everybody having eyes on the games and talking about how games are flowing, not just reading a box score. So it's been a lot of fun. And then obviously with the radio, you don't always get a ton of people listening to the radio, but it's been a really unique opportunity. Like tonight, I'm going on with Kevin Harlan, and then I have one more other game on schedule with Iron Eagle. Like those are two of the top play-by-play guys in football. So to be able to be with them and learn from them, I always ask them for advice and different things I could do. So it's an unbelievable opportunity. And then to get to the games, like James knows, like you get to the games and you're on the field and pregame, you're catching up with guys and seeing them and being around the game. That feeling is still pretty unique. So I love being able to do the studio and also get out and be on the field and be around my
Well,
brothers.
how much are you reading? Since Ninko brought up the teleprompters, how much is that show really scripted versus getting going and talking and having your own opinions? Not that they're not your own opinions, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, go dogs, because just really our host
oh,
Maria
she's the
Taylor,
goat. She's the
she
goat.
reads off a prompter at different things, but the rest of us, it's like it's go in and tell us what you think. This happened, react. This play happened. This coach called this. Go react. So, and it's always tricky because you want to react and you want to be authentic and real, but you also sometimes you're reacting without five angles of something, or like the whole night goes and then you get something new in the morning. Like you're going and you're having hard reactions to things where you're not getting the kind of full hours that other people get with new information coming out. You're going on, somebody says something, and you react. So you kind of learn how to do it the right way. And I think that's what I always care about. I'm not going to take a personal shot at anybody. It's, what happened on a play, what happened on a call, and I'm going to always react to that and tell the truth about it. But to me, it's all about not, attacking people and who they are and those aspects. It's just about staying authentic to what you see and what you hear, and then reacting to what you've learned throughout your football career and your experience.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because last night I'm sitting here, we watched the end of the Commanders game, this incredible Hail Mary, and then I flip over to your show, and you're already, so you clearly your show's already going on, this information's coming in, and now you got to react to it right then and there. And I thought it was great because you kind of, Chris Sims wanted to talk about Byard, and you're like, well, there's probably only supposed to be one guy who's going up to bat the ball down, and everybody else will be boxing it out. So to give that perspective, like you're not trying to take a shot at anyone. You're taking what you learned over a great career and saying, well, someone's wrong here because not everybody should be going up and trying to bat the ball down. And I know a lot was made afterwards. You see the guy who's over there taunting the fans while the play. I mean, Jaden Daniels is running around and he's still looking at the sideline,
Yeah.
to the fans. And I know a lot was made, but clearly that wasn't something they coached up very well because you hit on it right there, 5 minutes after it happened.
And that's the unique thing about our show. Like we were on a commercial break and we have a big screen and the play was like, oh,
Yeah.
and they're like, to your mics in 30 seconds, and you got to kind of snap right back out of
Right.
it. And it was awesome because I think we all see the game differently. So like you get Jason Garrett in there, and the first thing he hits on is the play before, our cheap five situation of
cheap
they
five,
pick
yep.
up in that situation, they pick up 13 yards, but they throw the quick out. And as soon as he says that, and I'm like, that's our cheap five. We always talked about not giving up that out route to set up the last play. But yeah, man, I think that's the perspective that I always want to bring. Like, be in the shoes, be that player, talk about the process, what was going on, how are you doing it, and that's what we get to do. And I think that's what we all get to do when we go in the media. We get to talk about, being under Bill Belichick for all of us different amount of years, but learning from him and learning from, the Bradys and the different guys, the Jerome Mayos, the Vince Wilfors for me on defense, what they taught me, and then going and teaching other people that.
Yeah. So I think the same thing for you. Like I learned so much about defensive safety play. So now that when I'm breaking stuff down, I reference you. Or if it's running backs, I talk about Sweetfeet and how great he was in protection. And I think we do have a unique perspective because we had so many great guys that we can learn from, not just at our own positions, but throughout the entire team. I always talk about how Ninko ragdolled me down and gave me a concussion when I played for the Texans, and he always says, "No, it was a
So
team mix."
that's nice of you. I always talked about like when you're a safety, you play behind different defensive ends, and usually defensive end's job is to set the edge, right? Stay outside. But you see Nico, he's over here to Mr. Peeky Boo over here, stay outside and jump inside, stay inside and jump out. You never knew where he was gonna go.
You're
You get in
playing.
games.
Listen,
Go
you're
ahead.
playing. I'm trying to play the running back. I show him one thing
He's
because the
quicker
running back
than you.
sees the running
He's
back is
quicker
reading.
than you.
No, that's you. Keep your head inside. Keep your head inside. They bounce outside.
Cool.
Bang, make the play.
All
That's
right.
it.
So we talked about Sweet Fee. We saw each other yesterday. You were calling the game. I also know you are on the Money Down podcast, and we were just talking before we started coaching at NIU. So you're pulling a lot of different Sweet Fee.
They said they said he was the reason they beat Notre Dame.
I like that.
I
like
did hear that. I was watching that on the
Take,
broadcast. They did.
you need to take more credit for that.
I was not. I was not. I am not a coach. I told like the head coach here is my running back coach in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I told him you can call me more of a player development.
There we
type
go.
guy.
I like that.
I don't sit in on any of the. I sit on the staff meeting, but not any of the play call and all that stuff. I don't sit on any of that. I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not going to be here till 11 p.m. and all that stuff. I'll be on the practice field. I help the running backs. I motivate guys. Talk to them in the meeting room whether they want to talk, football, life, whatever it may be, or if you want to watch film. I'll do all of that. So it's been a ton of fun. Kind of turns back the clock, gives you a little bit of a feel being in a room with college kids. Being that young 18 to 22-year-old. I remember being in those seats and just kind of going about life.
You got the
kind of
James White NIL fund going there?
Yeah.
I do not. I do not. We're not a Power 5 school here. We're a MAC team. We don't have the funds like the Georgias and the Wisconsins and the Rutgers and stuff like that. So
don't throw Rutgers in there.
Rutgers,
The
okay.
McCourty
You got
fund.
fund.
You got the two.
They got
don't-
inducted.
we don't-
Congratulations, Devin, inducted in the Hall of Fame, and you started your own NIL.
Yeah, it's different. Georgia's coming back down to earth because now everybody gets to pay their players. They've
I
been
never
paying
got
players for
paid.
years.
Never got paid.
a little
Never
different.
got paid.
somebody.
They
got
might have
paid
started
on
doing
Yeah,
it.
just
They
because you
started
weren't-
doing it after I left, and they got really good.
Yeah, okay. They were paying the wrong guys. They probably should have been paying you, but they're paying some slack with 5
Devin,
stars.
that
probably.
maybe is the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
I figure I'd give you some credit. You're still
You wanna
playing in
be
the
my
NFL
agent?
after being undrafted.
Bro,
I'd love to be your agent. Well, I don't know if you're gonna get another.
he's not getting another contract. Don't take
That's the
that
only
job.
problem. You might be wasting time.
And Sweetfit, I know you do similar gig to me too, Sirius XM radio, and so I know you're on there too. So you're kind of same as me, kind of figuring it all out, trying different things, and like we said, for you, I was listening to the radio one day. I'm like, I know this voice. I know I didn't hear it very often, but I know this voice. And they're like, oh, James White, and I was like, man, I love it because you have so much knowledge, and so for you to bring that out, I think is great.
No, it's a ton of fun doing Sirius XM with Solomon Wilcox every Wednesday morning. Been doing that for 3 years now. It's been cool getting to talk about the games, getting to talk about coaching changes, coaches meetings in the off season. So you get to learn the game from a different aspect, learning about salary cap and all that stuff, which I still don't have a complete grasp of. It's some fine details when it comes to that. But I've been enjoying it, kind of in a mixed bag right now, just trying to dip my toe into a lot of different things and try and figure out life after football because a lot of extra time.
That's
I'll
true.
say that.
And Ninko, we know obviously you're on the Dan and Ninko. You got your own podcast, and then I see you from time to time doing some stuff with the Patriots. Just fill us in on all those things, and I'm just wondering when I can get an invite to the Dan and Ninko show.
Yeah, anytime. That's just me and Dan are buddies, so we started something that was local. I'm not really trying to seek like advertisements and anything. I'm just enjoying it. We do it once a week, and that's one thing we started years ago, and it's kind of fun just to do that. I was at ESPN for 4 years, and then the other McCourty took my job. So So
He
Jay came
just
in and
started.
scooped. He came and scooped my job up, but it's all good. I this past year I coached high school last year, and then we just lost. Actually, my 8-year-old football team. We just lost the championship yesterday.
Because I
and
saw
I'm
those plays you put on Instagram
Those were
stories. How you
so
could ask me
mad
for a little
about
bit of
it.
help.
I was so mad because we came down to 30 seconds left in the game, and we were in prevent, and we were up 6-0. And they throw a deep bomb. They had one kid that was the biggest, tallest kid,
From
and he
Austin.
just went like this and caught the ball. Everyone missed the flag. They score. We go into overtime. They throw a little dink pass for a touchdown, and then we go. We have a perfect play. Ball's thrown, hits the kid right in the freaking chest, and he drops it.
Oh
And that
my
was
God,
it.
you putting
So
out an 8-year-old on the
Hopefully he
podcast?
doesn't. Hopefully he doesn't see this.
What his
hey, it's
football
okay
career. He's
though.
not
There
gonna.
was many plays. There was plays before that where we had an opportunity to win, but it came down to all those little things.
That's
You don't know
true.
what plays is going to be, but
You
you got to
gotta.
make the play. And Everett was a little nervous, so Everett wasn't really stepping into his throws, and I was just trying to be patient. But it's okay. We got spring football. We got spring football coming up. But back to the media thing. I did some college this year. So I jumped on TNT
Oh,
with
nice.
Takeo Spikes and Victor Cruz,
Okay.
and dude, I'm telling you, the college is. You go from the NFL's like this. College is like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
so many games. There's so many names, and that was actually I think the week I had to go down to Atlanta, but that was the week they were talking about the NLV quarterback who decided
Oh,
to
yeah.
take a red shirt and
Yep.
transfer
Mhm.
after being 3-0. And it's kind of so it was a big talking topic on kids that are transferring and going into the portal and the NIL stuff. So I do not miss going to New York City at all. So Dev, Jay, you guys are right there.
Yep.
You love the big city. I personally can't stand rats. So you know
There's not rats
the amount of
everywhere, bro.
rats in
There's
New
some
York.
rats. There's some rats, no doubt.
Some
There's some
they
rats.
got they have somebody makes 300,000 a year to take care of the rat control issue, and that's crazy to think about. They're talking about birth control for rats. Like, give me a break. Um, but I've been enjoying doing kind of like what I pick and choose to do. That's the cool part.
Mhm.
I like doing the radio. I like covering the game versus doing more of like the
Studio talk stuff.
studio
Make it
talk
topics
shows
up,
that
yeah.
they're looking for. Oh, that's not exactly what we're looking for. We need a little bit more of a headline, which is basically like clickbait stuff.
Yep.
So there's like a fine line between.
I would say the clickbait
you-
stuff was saying you were to smack Mac Jones, though.
Yeah, but no, the clickbait stuff was like.
I mean, that's pretty.
Ninkovich
I mean, that's
threatens-
pretty clickbait. Because I know I saw it. Rob Ninkovich says he wants to smack
figure of
Mac Jones.
speech. It's a figure of
Okay.
speech.
I understand that, Ninko.
You were taken out of
I'm
context.
saying-
Is that what you're saying?
I'm
Everybody's
saying-
taken out of context.
You're talking about clickbait.
You smack.
Not,
as
not a
defensive
literal
end.
slap.
Yeah. Figuratively.
I get what you're
It's like
saying, Dave. I get it.
So, but anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on
You were
from
the
that.
one who brought it up in the
Okay.
first place.
Yeah, so there's some aggression there. I'm a defensive end, and quarterbacks are that's a trigger for me. Okay.
Yep. I could tell you're a defensive end when you explain the last play of your flag football league because
Yeah.
no defensive back would ever coach kids and allow the biggest kid to get down the field, probably untouched, into the secondary. All you had was guys back. You didn't tell two guys to get on him. Like, there's so many other coaching points you probably missed because all you cared about was,
And Rob, don't you know coaches lose games, players win them?
That's right.
good players
I do know
can't
There it is, Dave.
overcome bad
there we go.
coaching.
Yep. When
That's
Bill
right. And
Belichick
we
says it to
can't-
you, you got to
hey.
trust it.
You can't live in the past either. So we're just gonna move on.
Yeah, I failed to mention the two guys that they also took shot at on dudes were Bill and Tom, and it's so ironic to me now. I can't watch media without seeing Bill somewhere, somehow, some way, and
Well,
I think
I get
Tom's
why-
getting better.
I get why Jules took a shot at Bill. Bill probably refuses to go on his podcast.
Yeah, and
So
Tom
now
too.
you got to take a shot
Tom
at
does
him.
too.
I can respect it.
Yeah, it's fun for me to get here and do this, and so David is obviously he's on IR, but this was kind of a cool venture for us to start while he was still playing, doing this podcast. Dev, you and I did the preseason games together along with J Mac and Zoe, which was a lot of fun. I think we'll have an even better understanding and make it a little more fun next year. And but it's cool. Like when you get in the media, like you said, Rob, like, oh, I can do this for NBC Sports, and I can also. You're kind of a free agent, and as long as it's not a conflicting thing, it's been pretty fun to do. And that leads me to, why do you think, there's so many of us that played for the Patriots that not only get into the media, but do really well, even going to like Rodney Harrison, Teddy Bruschi. I have a theory. I think it's because for so long we're so controlled in what we can say to the media that we finally get a chance to actually speak our mind and say what we want to say. But it is pretty crazy to look around and see everybody in their different perspective outlets, and it's always fun for me to see guys have success. So, just your thoughts on why you think maybe we get into it. I think, Deb, you kind of hit on it. Like for me, my whole thing is I want to use what I learned and educate fans and give perspective to what it is. And then doing a show like this is kind of fun because you get to share some stories, get to share some these experiences with guys that we played with and care about. And so, just whatever you guys think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think two of the biggest things is like we played with or played for two of the biggest names that'll go down in the history of football. So when you think about Tom and you think about Bill, like for all of us, that's an advantage when you can go in to whatever it's a podcast, a show, a game, and you can relive stories of being in a meeting room where, like Hoyer, for you, like you can talk about being in meetings with Brady and what he's saying and how he scouted some of the best defensive players, and especially now because some of those guys are still playing.
Right.
So when you can do that and you can tell those stories and you know how to work it in and you can bring it to life, I think that's what people like. And, I think every audition or meeting I had after I retired, it was that. And we were storytelling. I was trying to go in depth and show, what I can talk about football. And I think that's the difference. I think when you look at former guys, you usually fall into one or two buckets. You're either going to be the guy who's aggressive and you're going to take a shot at people. You're always going to be loud. You're going to be that person that, your playing career gets you the respect because you were a really good player or a great player, and you're going to go and you're going to talk about players and you're going to say this is good or bad and it's straight off. And I think the other part is guys that really understand the game and they like teaching the game. They can tell stories really well. They can teach different people the game in a simple form. And, I think all of us are trying to figure out, like, which thing do we do well and who is looking to hire what we do well. And I think the Patriots guys get an advantage because you're telling stories that a lot of time they've never come out of the walls of Foxborough. It just didn't come out. So you get to take advantage of that.
I just think we get so much knowledge from obviously each other, from the coaching staff, everybody, Bill, Josh, scouts and everything, and to be able to use that knowledge, like those Wednesday morning meetings, knowing the owner, knowing how they got their money, knowing the coaches.
This guy got his money the old-fashioned way. He inherited it.
All that little stuff. But when you get to the media space, you have all this knowledge about all these coaches, what schemes they run, what coaching tree they came from, when's the last time we faced them, and all that. All that matters in the media space, and I feel like we have that knowledge, and so we may not have necessarily used it when we were playing some of it. I feel like we can really use it now, and I know I definitely used it to my advantage. Most of us are recently retired too, and we face a lot of these guys, a lot of these coaches, so it's very easy for us to talk about some of these players and their coaching staff. So it's just using that knowledge to our advantage now. It's like almost like an encyclopedia.
And one thing I always thought, we all played together at some point, and I always thought we just, not all the time, but like generally speaking, we had really smart football guys. And like that was something I always thought, was so interesting looking at our teams. No matter what, like guys were just really, and maybe they weren't book smart or whatever, like, but like we just had really smart football guys that understood the game.
Are you talking about yourself there, or?
Yeah. I didn't graduate.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
And, but like, it was just like, and I thought I knew a lot about football when I got to New England, and then realized I knew nothing about football. And, like you said, James, like those Wednesday morning meetings, like you're hearing Bill talk about the offense and you're like, all right, yeah. And then it was kind of cool because he would start talking about the defense and you're not really having to pay attention, like necessarily like take notes, whatever. Like, but you're just kind of sitting there soaking it all in and like learning. Like, all right, like they do this really well. This is our plan to how to take that away, and you're kind of using all of that. And so learning from that, and then also we had a lot of success and a lot of really good players with that. That comes with having good players. So I think that's just such a great asset that a lot of us had and learned from, and again, loved the game and loved all that process and all of that. So, just trying to use that to your advantage.
It would, like Ninko, before you guys came on, David was talking about when he was playing, he was a rookie and you were kind of an established guy. So he would have to do some scout team. And he's like, I'm just trying to find my way and make a name for myself. And he's like, Ninko would get so mad at me. And then now he's like, see, I told you, David, you don't want these young guys, going hard in practice. But it even brings to mind some of those years like 17, 18, when I'm running the scout team and I'm trying to give Devin the best look. But then after practice, he'd come up to me like, hey, what do you think Rodgers is going to do here? And we would talk about it. And it was so funny to see the Vikings play the Jets a few weeks ago, because I'm watching and it's B-Flow, obviously, right? And he kind of implemented that same kind of bring them all up there, drop them out. And we had those conversations. And to me, I learned so much from your perspective. And so it is kind of cool for all of you guys to talk about. Yeah, we learn from Bill, we learn from Tom, but we learn from each other. And you can see that when everybody's out there doing, their respective media jobs, you guys all are very well informed, not just about the positions you played, but the other positions on the field too.
Yeah, and to clarify me yelling at David,
I can't wait to hear this.
I always enjoyed good, high quality reps, but when you hadn't had a stinger in like 6 months, and it's Friday before a game, and you get pushed from behind after the play's over, and it gives you a stinger, and you're like the whole season so happy that you haven't got your first stinger. You get it on a Friday. I turned around and I was so angry.
Oh, so you remember the exact moment?
Oh, yeah, I remember exactly what it was. I was
Can I
inside
say
too.
something?
Like I was stunned
You got
inside.
a stinger from getting pushed?
That's what I was about to say, Devin. That sounds like a you problem.
Well, it was probably the reason why it was my last year playing football, because if you pushed me from behind, I would get a stinger if my head went backwards.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. It was definitely a sign, but
You're welcome, I guess.
yeah, thank you. You helped actually reduce the tau protein that is building in my head right now. So the interesting part about playing for the Patriots for so long is we went through a lot of different years with a lot of distractions, a lot of interest from outside sources. Everyone wanted to understand, well, how is this team so good? How do they get to these championship games? It seems like year after year after year. How do they win the division? Like, what was it, 12 years in a row? Something just crazy. And it was really just how Bill would talk about building the foundation, ignoring the noise and all those things outside. I mean, if you really think about it, it's unbelievable to think all the different things you could think about, the football pressure stuff. I mean, we had guys that got in trouble and those things happened, and we went through seasons where it didn't affect us. We won Super Bowls, right? And there's just a lot of intrigue in that. And then also, how do you build a good football team? And it's having guys that understand their role, buy into those roles, and you have the trust of the guy next to you, and the communication. And Bill would always talk about communication. We have to communicate. Everyone's got to be on the same page. If there's a check in the secondary, you have to relay that message to the backers to the front. And that's the same thing offensively. What's the cadence? What's our split? Are we motioning? Are we killing it? Are we moving on to something else? So it was really to have that experience with the Patriots and the way Bill could coach that to all three phases and have guys that bought into, this is my role. It's hard. I think it's hard to do that today with, the guys coming out of college, and now they're all independent contractors and they're trying to support their own brand, and they, all these kids that are transferring and looking for paydays. You come into the league, they want to be starters from day one. And when I got in the league, it was, you got to pay your dues. You might have to run down on kickoff. You might have to do some things you don't want to do.
Long snap.
long snap, all these things that like you're just trying to do what you have to do to stay on the team, number one, to help the team,
Mhm.
but you also want to win. Like
Yep.
we were driven to win. Like we didn't ever think about, okay, let's just get through this year. And if we win no, it was like, okay, we're playing every week to build up for the end, which is a push for a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And there's not a lot of guys that have that experience. So I think that's why when you retire, there's a lot of intrigue to how we were able to do that for so long. And also, how do you get that? How do you build that? And Bill now doing the media tour and the Insta face and all that stuff. Like now he's sharing his stories and he's doing the CW, whatever that is. Isn't that like,
Oh, that one's great.
Inside
He's
the,
like,
inside the
Chad,
NFL.
who would this guy be right here?
Yeah,
Those are Wednesday
like-
morning meetings for
like,
us. Like,
you know, he's like, Chris, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Not running past the quarterback,
Yep,
right?
yeah.
You know, and Chris is
Yeah,
like,
now
"Oh, I
now
don't like
Chris
to
is
run
a,
past the quarterback."
he's a good old student now. Like where's Rebel Chris?
yeah, we need to
Yes,
see that.
Yes. Him and and RC and
Yep.
Ocho Cinco. Yeah, those are the guys coaching up now.
Yeah. Well, you know what, guys? This was great. I'm glad we could get a rebuttal for the dudes on dudes with those guys and the things that they wanted to say to us. And it's always so great to catch up with you. Good to see you guys, even if it's via Zoom. And best of luck to everything. Dev, I'm going to tune in tonight so you have one more listener on your radio
That's what I'm talking
broadcast.
about.
So,
Dave, can you get us some wins, bro? Like, go speak some life. Two wins. Like, I want to go on air and talk good about the Patriots, and it's all on you.
yep.
Go,
Let's go.
bring wins to the New England region. We've already done our job. You need to do
They
yours.
just
Yeah.
won yesterday, and guess what? They played pretty
Yeah.
tough, Dev.
They did play tough.
Yeah, they have two
Okay,
wins.
we're gonna try to get
It's-
3
it's
this
gonna
week,
be
Devin.
week-
That's how it
it'll be
works.
week
You
9.
can't get 7 wins in 1 week. Yeah, like what are we talking about?
And all I said was get wins. I didn't say take away
Okay,
the
we're gonna
losses.
try to
I
do
said
that
go
then.
get
All right,
some
Devin.
wins. No. See, that's the thing. I don't want you to try. I want you to go get
All right, what do you want me to
wins.
You want me to start
Guarantee-
guaranteeing wins here?
Guarantee on the quick snap pod right now.
All right, David, go ahead.
You might have some of them tau proteins because you're not sounding like,
Yeah, where are your
That ain't
lessons?
sounding
Don't
Patriot-esque
fuel or
right
believe
there.
the hype.
I'm not
Devin.
I'm not a Patriot
you were a
anymore.
Patriot.
There's only one guy who is right here.
Hey, you're just a media guy making all that money.
That's right.
Come on, baby.
Thanks so much, guys.
Hey,
When I was
stir the
playing.
pot. Hey, stir the pot.
There he's
Dev.
just doing
That's
his
all
job.
you do is ever stir the pot, Devin.
Yep.
Talking about me more than Ninko?
Yes.
What?
Your voice carries a little bit larger right now, so yes, you are.
I don't agree.
All right. Well,
Sunday night football.
Sunday Night Football. The whole nation's watching you. You're stirring the pot, which is your
Yes.
job.
Hey, also, Dev, tell him to go a little lighter on the powder. You're like you have so much powder on. You're supposed to have like a little natural shine, but they have so much powder all over.
Hey
you.
man,
You
the
look
bald guys on TV, that's a struggle, bro. You got to have a little powder
He
on
looks, yeah, it's like a Cocoa Puff. It's like
And the
dulled
last
out.
person,
Oh my
the last
God.
person I'm gonna listen to about makeup is Ninko. Why would I ever do that?
there. Maybe we should just go to his hair doctor, Dev. I mean, can you give us a shout out with the hair doctor?
Yeah, Dr. Matthew Lepresti of look at this hair, bro. Hey,
I feel bad for
Hoyer,
that doctor.
I'll hook you up, Hoy dog. Let's go,
Appreciate
baby.
it. Give me
I feel
that
bad for
discount.
that doctor because you're killing anybody that's gonna go there. Your hair looks terrible.
My hair looks great. Are you out of your mind?
He is.
Dave, take off your
He's
hat,
over
Dave.
40.
Show him,
David, let's
show
see that
him
thick
real
head of
hair,
There we
Dave.
go.
Like,
All right,
come
but
on,
Dave's
man.
in his 30s still. He's still playing football. He's supposed
Yeah.
to have hair.
Are you 40?
Yeah,
Ninko's older than me. He's older than you. He's got to be.
I'm 40, but I look 38.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, fellas. So thank you so much. This was awesome. Having this group together just warms my heart, as Bill would say. And it's great to see you guys. And best of luck with everything else the rest of the season. And hope to get each one of you back individually for our normal individual kind of interview. So thanks again.